Have you ever wondered, why am I here? What's my reason for existence? What is my purpose in life? Why do I exist? Well, in a general sense, we exist, human beings, because God is a God who loves relationship. He loves the relationship within the Trinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And he broadened that circle to include human beings. We're here, we primarily exist to have a personal relationship with a loving God. But there's a more specific sense to our existence for you and for me, that God created each of us for a specific purpose in this life. And He wants you and me to understand and to find that purpose in life and to know the reason why we're here and the reason for our existence. Think of it. God created us for a purpose, for a reason, for a specific reason. At the core of our being, each of us have unique gifts and a calling. We were made for a reason and a purpose. Luther said broadly, he said, for the world to work right, God needs all of us. That is, God needs for all of us to fulfill our God-given role in this world. And when we fulfill those roles, the world works right. I love Psalm 139, verse 13. Let me read it to you. The psalmist writes, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb." You formed me. You created me. You hand-fashioned, shaped, and molded me in my inner parts, in the very deepest part of my inner being, my soul, my spirit. And you knitted all that together in me. And he continues to write in verse 14, "I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well." Fearfully, that is reverently, in awe and in honor. I am wonderfully made. Wonderfully made. He's talking about you and he's talking about me. It's been said that if we understood half of what was going on inside of us, we'd be afraid to move. It's so glorious. It's so wonderful. It's so marvelous. And we know this, he says, in my soul. I know you made me. I'm not some cosmic accident, not some germ. I am created in the imago Dei, in the very image of God. I am unique. I am special to Him. And I have a special role, calling, and purpose in this world. The psalmist continues to write in Psalm 139, verse 15, "My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth." When I was being made in secret, I'm not an accident. I have a unique role to fulfill and play in God's created order. God, think of it this way. God has taken the same care to make you and me that He did when He made Adam and Eve. And He continues to write in Psalm 139, verse 16, these words, "Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them." Before there were days for me, before I started living, God took those days and He saw them. They were written specifically in His book for me. Isn't it wonderful that nothing happens by accident with God? That I am here for a reason, that God formed me, that God created the days of my life to be used. It's not that I have to live through these days, it's that I get to live through the days that God created for me. In His book, they were written. I am God's handicraft. I am utterly unique. There is no heartbeat, no fingerprint, no DNA that's like mine. Each of us are utterly unique. Each of us are one of a kind. And God set us apart from before we were born, and He created us for a purpose and reason. God wants us to know who we are and why we're here. Now, to get more clarity on my reason for existence, I want to talk to you about what I call finding my personal purpose statement. Finding my personal purpose statement. The goal is to find and define a few key words or a phrase or one single sentence, my purpose and reason for existence. So how do we do this? What does this personal purpose statement look like and how do we develop it? Well, the first ingredient is what I call clarity. Looking for clarity, for simplicity, for focus in our life. Our statement of our purpose of existence should be so simple that even a child could understand it. We should be able to write that personal purpose statement in a word or a group of words or a phrase or a single sentence. A single word focus is what we're looking for. The greater the focus, the more clarity we have about why I exist and what is my reason or purpose in life. Have you ever noticed that great organizations have great purpose statements to them? A little pop quiz here. Let me give you the purpose statements and see if you can define these great organizations. Which organization has said its purpose is to organize the world's information and make it universally acceptable? Google. Which organization has said its purpose is to be a place where people can buy anything they want, anytime they want, online? Amazon. To connect the world's professionals. To connect the world's professionals. LinkedIn. To be a place of global sharing and connection. Facebook. To provide a global trading platform. eBay. To build the web's most secure payment solution. PayPal. And finally, to bring an electric car to market as quickly as possible. Tesla. Elon Musk. Do you see the power in being able to focus a whole organization, a global organization, on a single phrase or a single sentence? Now, if purpose statements are important for large global organizations, they're equally important for individuals who performed at a high level in their lives as well. Think of Thomas Edison. He wanted to provide a sustainable light source for every home. Henry Ford wanted to provide an affordable car for every family. Ray Krock decided to create a simple, cheap, quick hamburger. Stephen Jobs, a computer in every home. And I remember JFK in 1961. He said, for our whole nation, he said, this is what's going to drive me and it's what's going to drive all of us together. We are going to land a man on the moon and return him safely to planet Earth. And we did in 1969. I have had the opportunity to have one of the astronauts who walked on the moon speak in our church several times, and have had lunches with him and spent time in conversation. And he said, you know, the amazing thing when you get to the moon, he said, there you are up in the moon, everything's black and all you can see is the Earth far away in the distance. What an achievement to put my footprint on the moon. But then he said, I realized at one moment while I was there standing on the moon that only half the journey had been accomplished. I got here, but the biggest challenge is now I want to get back home. And that's why Kennedy said to put a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth. I remember when I was doing chapel service for the National Football League, and I was talking to one of these world-class athletes in the weight room one day, and I asked him what motivated him, and he said, well, I'll tell you what, you wouldn't get me to do one push-up if you tore down the goalposts. I mean, it is that goal, it is that purpose, it is that end zone, it's our North Star, it's what keeps us in focus, it gives us crystal clear vision of who we are, of what's important in our lives. It gives us direction, and it gives us energy, and it gives us power. Early on in my life, I developed my personal purpose statement, and that was understanding all of life from God's perspective. That's it, that phrase, understanding all of life from God's perspective. I could just narrow that down to understanding life with wisdom, godly wisdom in my life. There is power in finding clarity and focus and simplicity to a single statement that defines my life. Now, not only does a personal purpose statement bring clarity and simplicity and focus to our lives, but there's a second ingredient, and that is that it brings passion and commitment and drive to our lives. It's something that's deeply embedded into the inner core of our being. It defines what we're really living for. We could put it on the mantle of our fireplace or on the back of our t-shirts. This is what gets me out of bed in the morning. This is what puts fire in my bones. This is my passion. This is what I am really living for. This is what I can really commit my life to. And not only do great organizations have great purpose statements, but great people throughout history have had great personal purpose statements that define their passion for life. I call it the single purpose passion. FDR to lead our country out of the Depression. Martin Luther King to eliminate racism in our land. Nelson Mandela to end apartheid. Mother Theresa to show mercy and compassion and comfort to the poor and the dying. These people had a single purpose passion in their lives. And we find the same thing with people in the Bible. They have personal passion statements that are filled with clarity and vision and direction. Moses said, you could put over the tomb of my grave these words, a servant of the Lord. That's it. See the clarity there, the simplicity, a small phrase with lots of passion to it. A servant of the Lord. Joshua, to be strong and of good courage. John, I've come to prepare the way for the Christ one, the Christ child, the Son of God. Jesus said, I have come to seek and to save the lost. And for Paul, he said, I want to reach the world with the euangelion, the good news of Christ. These people had a passion about who they were. They had clarity, simplicity, focus, and passion, commitment, and drive. People with great personal purpose statements make a great impact on our world. They have a crystal clear focus, purpose, passion, and commitment. I know why I exist, and I know why I'm here. Listen to what Paul wrote in Philippians chapter 1, verse 21. For me to live is Christ, and to die is to gain. For if I am to live in the flesh, that means fruitful labor for me. Yet which I shall choose, I cannot tell. Verse 23. I am hard pressed between the two. My desire is to depart and be with Christ, for that is far better. But to remain in the flesh is more necessary on your account. I mean, how do you beat a man like this? For me to live is Christ, and if I were to die or if you were to kill me, I'd just get more of him. And so I'm torn. I'd prefer to be with him and avoid all of this suffering in life, but I'll stay here if it's necessary on your account to serve you and to love you in an uncompromising way. Uncompromising in my truth and uncompromising in my love. Talk about a man with passion and commitment and drive and intensity in his life. Talk about a man, a single man, who in 10 years took the gospel from Jerusalem to the whole known world around the Mediterranean, from Asia Minor and Galatia to Greece to Rome, the seat of the Roman government, to die there in a Roman prison cell. I mean, talk about a man who had crystal clarity and simplicity and focus in his life, was able to define his life in a single phrase, for me to live as Christ and to die as to gain more of him, who had a passion, had a drive, had a commitment, had this intensity about him, that he knew why he was here and what his purpose was in being here. He had this passion about the purpose of taking the gospel to the Gentiles. So not only does a personal purpose statement bring us clarity, and not only does it give us a passion for living, but it provides direction as well. It's the third ingredient. It helps us to know what to let go of in our lives and what we want to move towards in our lives so that we can get the very best out of our lives. You see, once we get laser-like focus on why we exist and why God called me into being, we're able to make the right decisions, to get the right things done, to build on our strengths, to be able to articulate a compelling vision of where we're headed in our lives. Not only do we not know who I am and why I'm here, but we get to know where I'm headed. Who I am, why I'm here, and where am I headed. It's been said, if you don't know where you're going to get there real fast. Well, that's the problem with just wandering around in life, that we get redirected. We don't get any real passion or any real purpose accomplished in our lives. But a personal purpose statement is like advanced decision making. It's delayed gratification. For us. I remember Muhammad Ali said, I hated the training. I hated every bit of it. But I said to myself, suffer now and you'll be a champion the rest of your life. You see, there's advanced decision making. I know where I'm headed. I want to be the champion of the heavyweight world. And so I'll put on that delayed gratification and suffer now for that which I want to get. It's the ability to concentrate on those few areas where outstanding performance produces superior results in our lives. Because I've noticed over time that we tend to spend the most amount of time on the least important things in our lives, the tyranny of the urgent, and the least amount of time on the most important things in our lives. See, God's saying, if I had a board 2x4 with 10 nails in it, I'd rather you hit one nail 10 times than all 10 nails one time. I'd rather you just drive that nail right through the board. That's the power of a purpose statement. It brings clarity, it brings passion, and it brings direction to our lives. So how do you beat a man like Paul? For me to live is Christ and die is gain. You see, he has a credo, a personal purpose statement. At the core of his being, there is an operating system at work that explains his past and gives a reason for the present and shapes his future. There is a pathway forward for him that keeps him on course. I early on had the opportunity to get a private flying license when I was in my teens. I never did get my instrument rating, but I could fly VFR, visual field reference. As long as you can see the horizon, you're permitted to fly. An instrument rating is a whole thing altogether. And when you get that initial license, you have to do what they call cross country. You have to navigate between 3 different airports and return to the one where you originally began safely. So you file a flight plan with an estimated time of departure, an estimated time of arrivals, and where the destinations are. And then there's that time where it's wheels up and you take off from the ground. In the course of that cross country, I'll never forget, and I'm flying with an instructor by my side, but there are many twists and turns in small airplanes. You get blown around, you get off course, you get delayed by bigger airplanes. You often take course corrections, many course corrections. But what's important is you never change the destination. You know where you want to land. And that's what a personal purpose statement does for us. It gives us clarity about our destination. It gives us a passion to accomplish it. And it gives us a flight plan. It gives us a course of direction to follow. Several years ago, I was visiting with a friend of mine in his living room. He had a terminal illness and was dying. It was the last couple of days here on planet Earth. And he told me how sad he was that he had never had any real direction or purpose in life, that he had just been wandering around in life and sort of felt like I just wasted my whole life and now here I am dying in my living room. And I thought how sad that is, because life is so precious and it's such a gift from God. We've been called into being by our very God himself. Every single moment matters to us. It makes a difference, and it matters to God as well. And that's why there's such power in a personal purpose statement. It gets to the core of things. Nothing gets us off track. It gives us clarity of who we are and what we really believe in and how we live. It gives us a passion, a commitment, a drive, and it gives us a direction to know where we're headed. So the question that I would have is, let's take some time now and write out a personal purpose statement. No matter what our age or no matter what place or position you find yourself in life, let's take the time to write this out. How are we going to invest my one and only life? This day, this week, this month, this year. You see, God wants us to know our personal purpose here on planet Earth. So I'm going to ask each of us to take the time to write out in one word or in several words or a phrase or no more than one sentence our personal purpose statement. And in that include the clarity and the simplicity and the focus, include in it our passion, our commitment, our drive, and include in it our direction of where we're really headed in life. Because God made you and me, and He wants us to be all that He created us to be. Imagine, He put the very same effort into you and me that He put into Adam and Eve. He's got a role for us, a purpose, a plan, a mission. He wants us to find it, understand it. And when we do find that, it gives us energy, and it gives us power, and it gives us fulfillment. So clarity, passion, and direction. It will take time to write that statement. It might take you a couple weeks. I want you to pray about it. I want you to think about it. But most importantly, I'd like you to have it completed so that you can put it over the mantle of your fireplace and on the back of your t-shirt. The power of finding a personal purpose statement in life.